Enough is enough. I'm sick of you. Change your attitude toward Mom, or we're getting a divorce, my husband said, thrusting divorce papers in my face. He believed everything his mother, Serafina, said, and lost faith in me. Honestly, I was getting sick of him too. He'd be the one losing out if we divorce. Fine, let's divorce. When I signed the divorce papers and handed them back, his face froze in disbelief. Don't come crying to me later. I'm done with you. My name is Natalia, and I'm a 35-year-old corporate worker. I've been married to Gary for 7 years. We met through work. Our companies were business partners, and we were the liaisons. He was incredibly dedicated to his job, responsible, and refreshing to be around. I always had a good impression of him, even when we worked on projects together. One night, while I was out at a bar with a friend, I ran into him. He was with a colleague, and we all decided to have a drink together. That was the first time we talked outside of a work setting. Even though we were drinking, he was easy to talk to, and I found myself getting attracted to him. We exchanged numbers and started going out for drinks and dinners after work. One thing led to another, and we began dating. He was a gentleman, kind and reliable, everything you'd want in a partner. After about a year of dating, we decided to get married. I was thrilled. At 28, the timing felt perfect. We quickly organized a family meeting and had our families meet each other. Then we had our wedding and began our life together. Married life was a joy, and I couldn't have been happier. We both worked, so we split household chores. Gary couldn't cook to save his life, so I handled that, while he took care of cleaning and laundry. I didn't mind cooking. I had lived alone for a long time and cooked frequently. He always complimented how delicious my cooking was, which made it all worth it. We would go out on weekends and really enjoyed our time together. Life as newlyweds was meaningful and full of happy days. 2 years into our marriage, we had a baby, a beautiful girl. We named her Taylor and raised her lovingly. I took maternity and parental leave to spend ample time with her. The more time I spent with her, the more adorable and precious she became to me. Even after returning to work, I reduced my workload as much as possible to be home on time for Taylor. She grew up healthy and well-behaved, a wonderful kid. Mom, I drew you in preschool today. Wow, you're so talented. I'm thinking of drawing Dad next. That sounds great. I'm sure Dad will love it. Taylor, now in preschool, was full of stories to share every day. Listening to her while preparing dinner became the highlight of my day. Sharing those stories with Gary when he got home became a daily routine. But something changed around the time Taylor turned 4. Gary stopped paying serious attention. Lately, my husband had been growing increasingly distant. Even at dinner, when our daughter Taylor tries to engage him in conversation, he gives half-hearted responses. I'd been so frustrated seeing this that I've talked to him about it multiple times when we were alone. Don't you think you've been ignoring Taylor lately? Huh? No, I've been listening. Do you even remember what Taylor talked about today? See, you can't answer. I just can't recall it on the spot, okay? Convenient how selective your memory is. Every time I bring it up, my husband becomes uncomfortable, but he never changes his behavior. Worse, he comes home later and later, diminishing the time we spend together as a family. Apparently, his job is demanding more overtime. I get that he's busy, but it's sad that he's cutting back on family time. And because he's always coming home late, I end up doing all the household chores. He won't even help out on weekends. He's either sleeping in or going out with his friends. I wish he'd make time to play with Taylor, but my requests always get brushed aside. Then one day, he springs this on me. We're going to move into my parents' home next month. What? What are you talking about? Mom's been lonely since Dad passed away last year. We should move in with her. It'll make her happy. Why would you decide that without consulting Taylor and me? We don't really need to discuss it. The commute to both our workplaces wouldn't change much. What about Taylor's preschool? Oh, she can easily transfer to another one. Don't be so irresponsible. Taylor has friends and enjoys her time there. Kids make friends easily. And how can you decide to move in with Serafina without even asking? Why not? It'll lessen your household chores, and she can look after Taylor. It might be convenient, but it's different. I'll have to be on my guard. Don't worry about it. Mom's already on board, so we're not changing the plan. My husband makes the decision unilaterally. The one time we finally talk and this happens? Feeling down, I moved into my in-laws' home. Welcome. Come on in. Serafina greets us. At first, Serafina was reserved, but she started to become more confrontational towards me. Natalia, why do you still work? Because I like my job? I'm not asking if you like your job. I'm asking why you haven't quit. I have no intention of quitting. Ugh, unbelievable. A wife should be at home supporting her husband, especially when they have a child. Prioritizing work over family is unthinkable. You lack the sense of responsibility as a wife and mother. Why do I have to do all these chores? You should be the one to stay at home. Serafina has been giving me a hard time while I work. Why do I have to put up with her comments? To be frank, Serafina doesn't keep up with the housework. Even though she's a stay-at-home wife, most of our meals are just deli foods from the supermarket or frozen meals. She thinks she's fooling everyone by transferring the food to dishes, but empty containers lying around give it away. Moreover, she doesn't spend any time with our daughter. She just watches TV all the time, even when eating, not talking to our daughter. My daughter looks lonely because neither her grandmother nor dad engage in conversations with her. My husband is always late coming home, usually in the middle of the night. He says it's because he gets invited out for drinks by his boss. But is that really the case? At that time, I was too fed up with living with Serafina to even blame my husband. Then Serafina, who hadn't been getting along with me, did something annoying. Listen, Gary, Natalia won't listen to me at all. When I ask her to help with chores, she tells me it's my job. And when I'm cooking, she says it looks awful. I couldn't believe my ears. I never said anything like that. It's all lies from Serafina just to make my life difficult. But my husband, believe it or not, took Serafina's words to heart. Hey Natalia, you really said those awful things about me? Behind my back, no less? What kind of person are you? I didn't say anything like that. Serafina, why would you spread such lies? Oh, so you're accusing me of lying? More like all you do is lie. Unfortunately, my husband sided with Serafina, and I couldn't prove she was lying. I thought letting her move in with us would lighten your load. I'm really disappointed you'd betray me like this. Well, I'm disappointed too, learning that you're this awful. My feelings for my husband chilled instantly. ignoring our daughter and believing Serafina's lies against me. This is beyond belief. I even started considering divorce. But I wasn't sure if it would be the best for my daughter to live with just me as a single mom. On top of that, we had just moved to live near his parents and changed her daycare. I felt bad making her switch preschools again in such a short time. So I figured I'd at least tolerate this for about a year. From then on, I endured the constant bullying from Serafina. Meanwhile, something else caught my attention. My husband's frequent business trips. He had once told me that his job didn't require much travel, so the amount of trips he was taking seemed suspicious. Thinking it's worth looking into, I hired a private investigator. It turns out my husband was having an affair. The woman he was seeing was a junior colleague at his workplace. No wonder he was distant and coming home late. Moving back to my parents' place would save us rent. He probably used that money to entertain his mistress. At this point, I couldn't continue this marriage knowing he's cheating. Just when I thought that, something else happened to infuriate me. Move! I'm sitting here, so get out of my way. One weekend, I heard Serafina shouting. Curious, I went to the living room to find her glaring at my daughter. And there was my daughter standing next to the sofa in tears. Hey, Serafina, what are you doing? It's her fault. I was going to watch TV, and she's sitting there watching some silly kid show. Really? You yelled at her that loud? I can't believe it. Would you cut it out? I just wanted to watch TV. I don't have time for her to get out of the way slowly. So you made your granddaughter cry just to get what you want? She's the one at fault for crying. How pathetic to cry over something like this. Enough is enough. Just because you don't like my daughter doesn't mean you can act like this. What? You're the last person to talk, being such a useless wife. I'll tell Gary right now. Go away, I'm watching TV. Serafina shouts this and turns up the volume on the TV. My husband happens to be out of the house. He's probably out with his mistress anyway. I decide to take my daughter to the mall. My daughter cheers up after playing some arcade games and eating ice cream. Seeing her happily eat ice cream, I realized I have to protect her. We come home in the late afternoon and find my husband and Serafina waiting for us, looking angry. Hey, we need to talk. Come to the living room. I send my daughter to her room and join my husband and Serafina in the living room. As soon as it's the three of us, my husband starts yelling. Enough is enough. I heard from Mom that you've been really disrespectful. It's Serafina who's wrong. She's been awful to Taylor. Shut up. Stop making excuses. I'm sick of you. Fix your attitude towards my mom, or we're getting a divorce. My husband thrusts divorce papers at me. When did he even prepare these? I'm fed up with a husband who would rather believe Serafina than trust me. And he's the one who would be at a loss if we divorced. Serafina watches me get handed the divorce papers and smirks. I suppose she thought this would make me submissive. Fine, let's divorce. What? I sign the divorce papers and hand them back. My husband freezes in shock. So does Serafina, who clearly didn't expect me to agree to the divorce so easily. You serious? You realize this means we're breaking up, right? Yes, I do. I've had enough of this life too, and I wanted to cut ties with Serafina anyway. Upon hearing this, Serafina's face turns red with anger. How dare you! Gary, you're better off without a wife like her. Find a younger woman and have a son this time. Ah, so that's why Serafina has been cold to my daughter. She wanted a grandson to carry on the family name, even though we're not even a business-owning family. My husband lights up. Well, Mom has a point. Probably thinking he can just be with his mistress. I shake my head, pack my things, and tell my daughter we're leaving. After putting her in the car, I turn to Serafina and my husband. I'm leaving now. Did you finish the divorce papers? Yeah, haha, just finish them, haha. Then I'll file them. So, we're officially strangers now, haha. My husband says, smirking unpleasantly. You're thrilled you can marry your affair partner, huh? After receiving the divorce papers, that's what I said. Let's handle the rest through lawyers. Don't come crying to me anymore. When I said that, Serafina looked puzzled. Crying? Gary crying to you? What are you talking about? Ah, you didn't know. Gary is already tied to a younger woman. What? That means he's cheating. When I said that, my husband's face turned pale. What are you talking about? Me cheating? No way. I showed him the evidence photos from a private investigator on my phone. Pictures of you and a coworker entering a hotel. No denying it. I'm seeking compensation for the affair, child support, and I also have recordings of the verbal abuse from you and Serafina, so I'll be claiming emotional distress too. What? Both my husband and Serafina were stunned by my statement. I wasn't just taking the abuse silently. I had vowed to myself that one day when I leave this home, I would get my revenge. I have all the evidence, so my lawyer says I can get a substantial settlement. Wait, let's talk this through, Natalia. Yeah, we'll apologize for our mistakes. What are you talking about? You both are at fault, and I will never forgive you. My daughter is waiting, so I have to go. Goodbye. Saying that, I left my in-laws' house. My husband and Serafina just stood there, frozen. After that, I sought compensation for the affair, emotional distress, and child support through a lawyer. I even demanded compensation from the woman he cheated with. My ex-husband ended up with debts he'll take a lifetime to repay, and can't even afford to be with his affair partner. She left him, apparently deterred by the affair and the resulting compensation. And now he blames his mother, Serafina, for everything, saying it's her fault. Serafina was so shocked by her own son's accusations that she's become a recluse. Because of this, their house has turned into a filthy mess. He lives in a worsening state, his suit ragged, his shirt smelly, and he's so tired he can't work properly, becoming an outcast at work. He's now in a minor department and still useless, but he can't quit because of the debts. It appears he's living a miserable life, a hell on earth, which serves him right. On the other hand, I rented a room near my office and started living with my daughter. Though she had to change schools again, she preferred that over living with Serafina and her dad. Thankfully, her new preschool has nice kids, and they've all accepted her. Now she comes home happy every day, sharing stories from her preschool with me. I will continue to dedicate myself to work and maintain this lifestyle while watching my daughter grow up.